Everyone, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the heDONizm podcast. I'm Dante, also known as Mecca Don, the Don Mecca. Some may call me Rick James. Why? Because I'm cold-blooded. Some may call me Coach, but if you know, you do know. We're in the age of cancel culture judged by the court of public opinion, and I'll be careful with my words, but just in case I drop one, a noun, an adjective, a pronoun, or even an expletive, please don't hold me to it. You guys know what it is. Say it with me. I'm just here to pod. Hey, it is with heavy heart and sadness that I deliver this to the hip hop community, but also this one goes down in the history book or books as one of the first. I'm talking about Sister Lichelle Marie Laws, also known as Boss, passed on March 11th at the tender age of 54. She was originally discovered by DJ Quick and AMG. Ain't nothing like, oh my, word to the DJ Quick, better have my money. That was my joint. But nonetheless, just calling out greatness and showing the relationship with her, DJ Quick and AMG. So later, when legend, pioneer, and founder of Def Jam, Russell Simmons, heard of this young lady, he said, it's up from there. I got to sign her. So he went on to sign her as Def Jam's first female. So for the sake of the history books, let's be reminded that she was Def Jam's first female. Def Jam being one of the greatest record labels that came into existence, let alone the genre of rap and hip hop. She was a Detroit native. What up, though? Detroit, you guys are in our thoughts and prayers for this loss. But she was known for her hit banger, Deeper and Deeper. I don't really wanna. You guys remember that rough baritone, but yet tenor style voice that she had when she touched the mic. Nonetheless, it hit top 3 on the rap and hip hop billboards. And for the DJs out there, you know this was one of those bass droppers. You know this was one of those when West Coast was really bringing the hip hop and the flow, the rhythmic nature of a delivery and storytellers. That's no exception for Miss Laws, a.k.a. Boss. She brought the hits with that. But Sister Laws was suffering kidney issues. To all the fans out there, to all the friends, and for those of you that remember Sister Laws, a.k.a. Boss, our thoughts and prayers are going out to you guys. And from the heDONizm podcast, my condolences. In true heDONizm fashion, I always like to start out with gratitude, but I wanted to keep things in order as it presented itself. But let's give a salute to Regina King. She will be playing the first black lady to run for president. Who am I talking about? Shirley Chisholm, right? During this election season, how fitting for her to actually go on and speak about or come out and speak maybe for the first time of her journey and her dealing and battling with loss of her son during this time. Right. Her son self-transitioned, for those that don't know, and this has been a true struggle. I'm sure it would be a true struggle for any mom. But Regina King, being a public figure and actress, is talking about her struggle with strife and grief during this time as she prepares to deliver her role as Shirley Chisholm. But she's fresh off of this loss, and during this election year, this may bring some churn and also some subjectivity about ladies in office. Salute to Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, and just thinking about all the successors that have paved the way, and also those who went on towards election, whether it be for president or local elections. But salute to Regina King displaying and also educating those through a pictorial motion picture of Shirley Chisholm. So salute to you, Regina King, and also you are still in our thoughts during this time for you. This fits in the category of gratitude because I'm saying this with my chest out, right? It's time out for the black church and the fugazi. Right. And also the pompous and circumstances of those bringing the true theatric that goes above and beyond what the good book says. Right. And I'm not just saying, hey, I'm a traditionalist. some of those radical terms do speak to the masses. I'll be honest, I'm one that it gets my attention. However, Lamar Whitehead, known as the Bling Bishop, you ain't got to turn him up. He's already loud. And I'm not talking about in tone. I'm talking about his appearance, his delivery, and a consistent fugazi that this gentleman typically brings. Well, he stunted on his profound and proud friendship with the mayor of New York City. Well, Lamar Whitehead, known as the Bling Bishop, was found guilty on all charges. Of all those charges that was brought against him, that being wire fraud, attempted extortion, and lying to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that being the FBI.
Case drew attention to the fact that Whitehead had $1 million worth of jewelry to steal, something he defended. He says he has no connection to the two suspects. Among the questions he has for them, if they wanted the jewelry, why not target him while he was wearing the jewelry out in public, instead choosing to traumatize his family?
Why would you come into the church and do what you've done? Because you know we don't have any weapons, because you know we're at peace, you know that we're coming to serve our Jesus, right? And that's just wrong.
This is the same cat, y'all. This is the same dude that allegedly staged a robbery during a live stream. How dare I call it a church service? Because I don't know what was going on in there. Some people were saying that he had a club backdrop behind him, calling it a pulpit. I don't know what's going on in the world today, but do me a favor, leave the vulnerable people that are seeking the word for themselves and their journey in life, leave them alone. Stop preying on the most vulnerable and stop messing with God's children. But he's facing time on these charges. But let me ask you something, Mr. Funny Man, Mr. I want to be in front of everybody and showcase everything that I got. Let us know how that federal pen works out for you. Or better yet, will you be the one that's reformed and come and do a tell-all about it? Oh, how he fixed me. Oh, how he changed me. You should have did that in the beginning. Speaking of fugazi and all kind of cloudiness of things that we may understand, things that we may be rooting for, but at the same time may have a sense of murky or cloudiness to it. Who am I talking about? DA Fanni Willis and the former president, Donald J. Trump, RICO case. Charges that were going against these individuals for the RICO. But yet the tables were turned and DA Fanni Willis and this gentleman had an affair or misuse of conduct in a relationship and misappropriation of taxpayers' money and unlawful funds that were being used. Well, during the court case, and there have been alleged text traffic that becomes public. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, everybody, please understand, there's no deleting some of this information on our smartphones. Please be aware. And that's no exception for DA Fanni Willis and this other gentleman. Allegedly, it was said that DA Fanni Willis has a vice grip Il Nana. I don't know what that means, but this is just what I heard. I don't know nothing about it. But they are saying DA Fanni Willis is like Little Caesar's pizza. She's hot, fresh, and ready. But moving along, I only wanted to insert that because I know some of the masses love to hear drama. And most of us, word travels faster than the news. It goes on social media and it's quicker than the blink of an eye and sometimes the speed of sound. But I'm talking about those being Facebook, as the young folks will say, the old people, social media. Or it could be Instagram, right? It could be TikTok. Speaking of TikTok. In the words of New Edition, first of all, let me just pause here for a second and say shout out to New Edition for being inducted in an NAACP Hall of Fame. They were inducted at the last commencement ceremony for the NAACP. So shout out to you, New Edition. But in the words of New Edition in their younger day, is this the end of TikTok? I don't know. But Congress and the House is voting on a bill to possibly ban TikTok, at least in U.S. territories. How can this be done? I don't know. Why? Because these are the old heads on Capitol Hill saying that this thing has to go. And I'm going to tell you right now, if former President Donald J. Trump reaches office, which is kind of looking that way, TikTok is finito. It's out of here. Because as you know, that side or the right wings wants nothing to do with China. They want nothing to do with China, which is TikTok based. And they're saying that it's reckless endangerment towards information in America. It possibly had something to do with the elections. It possibly has something to do with breach of security measures in U.S. CONUS and U.S. territories. Social influencers are saying, hold up, wait a minute. You're interfering with our First Amendment right. And in addition to that, you're interfering with our primary source for our income and, more importantly, our livelihoods. Since COVID, it has been recognized that some of the social media devices or applications, as some medical scholars would say, have been used as coping devices. But if you ask me, it's done more harm than it has good. You guys know my plea when it comes to TikTok. It was once saying, like, musically, right? It was for the kids. Grown folks, stay off of there because there's too many interactions with our youth. And we don't really know the true age barriers with catfishing and hatfishing and all of these things with some of the individuals out there saying that they are one thing, but in fact are not. Let TikTok tell it. The U.S. doesn't want anything to do with China, which is TikTok based per se. So we'll see how things arise and we'll see how things play out as this election year unfolds. You guys know when former President Donald J. Trump and current President Joe Biden had debates in the past, it turned into a hot dumpster fire. We'll see if those or some of these are the bullet points, that comes up in debates and conversations as we go forward. Hey, listen, on a serious note, we do have things going on in all of the world, including the Middle East. And there's currently an odd timeline for the transition of government. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the country's future is in question regarding the amid gang violence and lack of leadership in Haiti. The current prime minister is in denial about all that is going on. But here again, there's a heavy immigration issue with people flooding Haiti. The prime minister doesn't see the need for urgency or have any backbone on policy nor leadership, says the people of Haiti. But what does that mean for U.S.? Why is this important for us? And why am I calling it out as a thing to listen to? Well, as you know, the heDONizm podcast does cater to some of our troops, foreign and domestic. So here's how it ties to us. Here again, U.S. troops are called to police the world issues yet again. U.S. troops are now being called to go and take stage and take post at the U.S. Embassy because right now it's in shambles. I mean, U.S. troops are there, but let's just say citizens of the U.S. and allies are in Haiti. Currently, there are no outgoing flights. There's no incoming flights. Folks are now having to go to the DR and take ATVs to get into Haiti, but it's coming at a risk and it's coming at hazardous times and also dangerous situations. So for all of those in Haiti that are going through this chaos during this time, you guys are in our thoughts. But please be aware that this is causing more troops to be deployed to take care of world crises in other countries. You know, we talk about these things and we highlight them because they're living, written information that's going in history books real time. There's also something else that will be going in the history books that you may not have known of, or at least the story haven't been told from our perspective. What am I talking about? Jermaine Dupri, Luther Campbell, prophets when it comes to Southern delivery and also knowing the fate, in the words of what Three Stacks said, of the South having something to say. Tomorrow, everyone, everybody, tomorrow.
Why you keep on saying tomorrow?
Because tomorrow is when it's going to happen.
Tomorrow.
Oh, my God.
Tomorrow.
Stop saying tomorrow.
March the 21st, Hulu is dropping a doc that explains the legacy of Black joy, Black self-determination, Black love, Black enterprise, Black entrepreneurship, Black growth, Black Mecca, right? What the South looks like with Black America. A lot of our 20 and 30-year-old, our millennials, are here strictly off the strength of this Mecca of a gathering. This was a cultural phenom event that lasted nearly 2 decades, starting in the 80s, going all the way to the end of the 90s. What am I talking about? Freaknik. I'll say it again, Freaknik, right? Now, some of you, let's just set the record straight, right? This is not, if you're looking for an expose, right? If you're looking for that doc that tells all. Now, this ain't the Fire Festival, right? This is not us displaying a dumpster fire. This is not Hulu displaying a dumpster fire. I'll say it again. Luke, Luther Campbell, JD, Jermaine Dupri are the EPs behind this project. And as much as we went online all of last year leading up to this, when the announcement was made that Hulu was doing a doc or dropping a doc, the rollout for the Freaknik doc dropped, everyone went on social media and started snitching on themselves. This is the biggest snitch on yourself campaign that I've ever seen in my life. But ladies and gentlemen, listen, as much as you may think this is a tell-all where some of our congressmen, some of our clergymen, some of our medical professions, some of those in office that are currently serving, that has served, right? Some of your doctors, your lawyers, your leaders, your local leaders, some of your moms, dad, grandmas, aunties, some of your uncles, some of your crazy cousins, right? I'll even go as far to say some of your great-great-grandparents. You may be thinking, we'll be in this doc. Some people are going and petitioning that this doc not drop. Hey, listen, this was your choice. These were your doings back in the day. And let me just not point the finger at you. This was our doing. Yes, I was there. Yes, I was there. Let's continue. But a lot of our 20 and 30-year-old millennials are here based off of the strength of Freaknik. That's F-R-E-A-K, not N-I-C-N-I-K, right? Let's talk about it a little bit. This was an annual spring break festival attended by students enrolled, get this, at HBCUs in the AUC. Freaknik was born in March 1982 and is 42 years ago today. It was created for students, right, from the Metro DC area and some of those that were in the HBCUs or the AUCs, right, that could not afford to get back home for spring break. Freaknik's run was, as I said before, nearly 2 decades. It was inspired by a dance that was going crazy, that was out west, that was Midwest, that was down south, that was east, northeast, southeast, called La Freak, right? It grew steroids, however, when non-HBCU promoters got a hold of it and wanted to put a stake in the game for the then growing annual event.
I'm not the one you sleep with, to eat quick, want a cheap chick, better go down a Freaknik.
We learned about these through some of our Ralph McDaniels, The Box, the Club MTVs, the True Life Stories on MTV, BET, Video Soul, BET News. So we heard about these things, which at the time the internet was growing. So we actually heard things through Freaknik.com and some of our growing internet web URLs back in the day. You remember typing in www before putting in that actual complete URL? Well, there are a lot of you out there. And yes, total strangers that was picking up what was put down. Let me tell you something. Cats were renting Winnebagos, minivans, full-size vans, charter buses, caravans, loading up max capacity, more than the seatbelts could handle. A lot of you guys don't remember, but some of your sedans back in the day had a full bench in the front, and you can actually sit a third person in the middle. I'm aging myself, but I'm not new at this. I'm true at this. And some of our vehicles had a full bench in the back that could hold 2 people and maybe an armrest, but you had about 4 or 5 people, small people. And even back in the day, if you was crunk enough, shout out to Little John, right? You had somebody laying across, people that were sitting in the back seat. Well, that's no exception for those that were caravanning to Freaknik. But get this, even people were renting U-Hauls. I'll say it again, because today U-Haul rents pickup trucks. U-Haul rents cargo vans. No, I'm talking about that 19-footer and beyond U-Haul trucks. Yes, people were actually putting generators and multiple car batteries in the back of U-Haul trucks, putting DJs in there, party lights, couches, lights, refrigerators, and was going down there staging these U-Hauls. You know why? You couldn't find lodging anywhere in Atlanta. Keep in mind, most people, Atlanta was already a vacation spot for some, right? It was a large metropolitan city for locals and those that wanted to come and get a taste of the Atlanta experience. The Atlanta Braves were either on the brink or fresh off of a championship, right? So, and the Olympics had already taken place, so there was a lot of things to come see in addition to the Black history that has taken place and the sacrifices that were made for some of the legends of Atlanta. So there were already that. Then you had your college students, let alone we mentioned the funky step shows or the Divine Nine that were having step shows, right? Some say it origined off of the Greeks. Some say it was origin off of the college. But then when the janky promoters got involved, right? When the strip clubs got involved, right? And then when the people from down south wanted to come up and showcase their automobiles, when people from up north wanted to come and rock their Timberlands with their shorts and their white tees, right? When those from out west wanted to come and rock their khakis and their Chucks and just say, hey, I want to see what this Atlanta life was about. You had all of that, but you couldn't go anywhere in Atlanta. You couldn't go 85. You couldn't go 285. You couldn't go 20. You couldn't go 75. And everyone wanted to make their way to the underground in Atlanta because they heard that that's where all the celebrities would be shopping, walking around, and taking pictures. But in addition to all the great things about Freaknik, there was a not so great side, right? And that was the thing that came with mass population and uncontrollable crowd control. In addition to no lodging, people were swarming to Atlanta by the masses. And then the most unfortunate, and this is where we have to go to the shaking of the head. Fathers, grandfathers, brothers, uncles. This is the thing where we know better. And this is the thing where the gentleman quality actually comes into play, and shame on Black men during this time that put themselves in the seat of sexual assault. The masses of men that swarm certain women just to get a peek. Those that came with bad intentions to do drugs, DUIs, car accidents, violence, looting, and all things that entailed with doing no good or being up to no good. In the words of the late, great John Lewis, he wanted us to get in good trouble. This could have been something great that could have spawned or spanned into something annual that could have went on and went on and went on. But it became politics involvement to say that, hey, this is finito. We want no more of it. Just as the state of Florida has embraced a sour message and a solicitation saying, we don't want you here.
Hey, we need to talk.
This isn't working anymore.
And it's not us, it's you. We just want different things.
Our idea of a good time is relaxing on the beach.
Hitting up a spa or checking out a new restaurant.
You just want to get drunk in public and ignore laws.
Do you even remember what happened last March? That was our breaking point, so we're breaking up with you.
And don't try to apologize and come crawling back. This isn't safe, so we're done.
And just so you know, we're serious.
This March, you can expect things like curfews, bag checks, and restricted beach access,
DUI checkpoints, $100 parking, and strong police enforcement for drug possession and violence.
Whatever it takes, because it's time to move on.
For spring break. You know, it's something when you bring out the best in people and it shows and it flourishes and it looks so beautiful. But it's another thing when people who's never done anything or been anywhere goes and show themselves and just plumb out, plainly act a damn fool. But Freaknik was one thing for the history books. But I believe in this doc, you're going to be able to see and witness a vantage point that you probably didn't expect. I got a chance to take a peek at it through a screening. And I will say this, shout out to Luke, shout out to JD for being able to put their spin on what the South had to offer for Freaknik and for them to be able to tell it from their vantage point, right? This is not going to be the last of many stories about Black culture in this magnitude. There's multiple things that you're going to hear from, but I think after this Hulu doc drops, a lot of people are going to be encouraged to tell their story when it comes to Black history. What is your Freaknik story? Comment down below. Was it good, bad? Was it horrific? Hopefully you have some good things to share. As for me, and I got to call him out, me and my dorm mate, me and my partner, Kenny, we were in D.C., and I let someone borrow my car, and they let me borrow their Astro minivan. We slept in the minivan because there was nowhere to stay. And even if we booked somewhere, there was no way in the world that we could get to lodging with the club gridlock going on. So when I say club gridlock, you have to be there to know and understand. In Atlanta today, your average commute time is an hour. In and out of rush hour traffic. You can go out on the interstate right now, or you can go out early in the morning and try to beat the alarm clock, but you will run into some form of traffic. It flows, but it's more start, stop, start, stop, start, stop. But club gridlock is when you have no movement, and let alone an accident happen. And people were getting out of their cars in club gridlock, and they were going at it. So me and my partner, Kenny, man, I got to call you out. My boy, what's up? What's up? What's up? So we were riding around, and it pretty much is a showcase to see cars, to interact with different people from different places. Where you from is the term of question when at Freaknik. We were in D.C., and we wanted to take a break from the norm, and we wanted to get away. So we hopped in the vehicle and drove. And I'll say this, Kenny, I found the other day the actual traffic ticket that I got, because it was all kind of profiling going on during that time. Was I speeding? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is you couldn't cough, you couldn't breathe in coming in or going out the city of Atlanta without catching some type of harassment. And I can't remember if I was in D.C., if it was in Roanoke, Virginia, or somewhere when we was heading back to D.C. But nonetheless, me and Kenny, we rode down and met up with some friends, and it was pretty much just us being in mass population. Back then, there was no threat of mass shootings. There was no big threat of mass killings. So to be in a large population of that was more so people watching than it was being a part of the Fugazi. But nonetheless, we were in our younger days, and we just wanted to take a break from the norm and be involved in just that, spring break. But what's your Freaknik story? Do you got a story to tell? Were you the ones on the camera acting bad? Comment down below if you got something to tell, or just drop me an okay. I kept it cool. I kept it cute, but we know what it is. Let me just say this before I get out of here. Shout out to the bros, Omega Sci-Fi, for inviting me out. Happy birthday to my man, Marcel Hanna. You know, I got a chance to chop it up with the bros, and we went to go have a couple of sticks. And I'll have to say, they said I'm not a Q yet. Whatever that means. But I really appreciate y'all's time today. As always, I appreciate you for tuning in. And there's so much more in store. And I appreciate you guys so much that you'll never get tired of hearing me saying it, or I will never get tired of saying it to you in forms of gratitude. You guys know what it is. We're in the age of cancel culture, judged by the court of public opinion. And just in case I drop one today that may have made you feel a way, please don't hold me to it. You guys know what it is. I'm just here to pod. Until we meet again, y'all. Peace.